Let's show Mr. Hooper our accident here.
Victim identified as Christine Watkins, female Caucasian.
Yeah, now here's the way we have it.
Probable boating accident.
Yeah.
All right. The height and weight of the victim can only be estimated from the partial remains. The torso has been severed in mid-thorax. There are no major organs remaining. May I have a glass of water, please? Right arm has been severed above the elbow with massive tissue loss in the upper musculature. Thank you very much. Partially denuded bone remaining. This was no boat accident. Did you notify the Coast Guard about this?
Been loving Jaws for 50 years, and I know they'll be loving it at least 50 more. And because it came out 1 year before I was born, I've never lived a day without Jaws before. What did people do before Jaws? What did they read or watch before Jaws? It's a movie that 100% changed the world. What did you do, people, without Jaws? Dun 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 dun. JAWGUST. 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 JAWGUST is back once again. Jaws is 50, so I thought, my friends, for you to come with me as I go back to Amity. A 31-day podcast, talking 4 minutes of Jaws each day. It will be another month-long show for me, and I hope to see you there, 'cause JAWGUST is back again. Happy Friday, everybody. It's Friday, August 8th, which means it is day 8 of JAWGUST, which means it is day 8 of Golden JAWGUST, and I am back talking another 4 minutes of Jaws, and it's been one full week. A week ago today, we premiered the first episode of Golden JAWGUST, and we premiered the brand new Golden JAWGUST theme song. So I thought, it's another Friday. Let's get another song in there. So that's what you heard today. And that's my little announcement here. For every Friday for the rest of JAWGUST, you'll hear another little ditty about Shark and Brody. I really wasn't planning on singing there, but it doesn't mean those are the only songs. Like, a song may pop in my head that has nothing to do with the quote-unquote thematic thing that you might have noticed from those first two songs. So who knows what could happen. But I will guarantee that every Friday in JAWGUST for the remainder of the month, which means there's 3 more Fridays. That's how time works. So get ready for at least 3 more wonderful little songs that they're short, they're sweet. They're very sweet. And you will find each one familiar. Very familiar, not only in the song, because you'll be like, I know this song, but also the type of song, the theme of the song. And to be honest with you, I have 3 recorded. Well, 2 of them you heard now. I have 1 more recorded, one that I started working on and haven't done yet, which means I need to at least come up with, okay, wait, I have 1 definitely for next week, 1 almost for the following week. I at least need to come up with 1 more, and I have an idea of what that should be. I just have to see if I can find the right words to make it fit and make it just like clever enough and just stupid enough to be right in my wheelhouse. One thing you might be noticing is the episode is out much earlier today. Yes, that's right. It is 7:05 a.m. as I am recording this right now. I thought, let's get it done before work so then I can focus on, watching my Patriots tonight, going to pick up my niece at her friend's house, and mostly watching my Patriots and not having to find the time to focus, make the time. I don't need to make the time when I have the time. I have the time right here. My dog woke me up a little before 5 a.m. I said, no, we can't have this. Let's lie down. Let me just rub your back. Let me rub your belly. And, she looks at me like, okay. And then I try to stop. She's like, I don't think you should stop. And I was like, okay, I'll go a little more, but I'm kind of falling asleep. But it's like the irony of I'm trying to sleep, but I need to continuously give her a little back rub to keep her from getting up. The moment I stop, it all goes to hell. And we end up doing a full walk around our neighborhood before even 6:30. And then I made a coffee, went outside, almost fell asleep on the deck reading. And then I thought, Mike, you have all this time. Let's do this. Let's not let Mike Batts wait till 10 p.m. Let's get this shit on the road. And then everyone can enjoy their Friday. You can listen to this later. That's absolutely your prerogative. You can do what you want to do. It's your prerogative. You can live your life. It's your prerogative. Okay, again, sometimes I just fall into songs and it happens. It's a blessing and a curse. And you know what else is a blessing and a curse? When you have an expert come to your town and let you know that what you've worried about is 100% the truth, the 100% the thing you should worry about, that the people who made certain decisions are very wrong, and that you have quite a problem on your hands, even though tomorrow they're going to think that they solved the problem. This one person is going to be telling you, you have not solved this problem yet. And that man who comes in, an expert from the Oceanographic Institute, the star of Moon Over Parador, the star of Another Another Stakeout, the star of, Close Encounters. He's in Stand By Me, Mr. Holland's Opus. He is in so many things, unlike, even more so than Robert Shaw, even more so than Roy Scheider. Richard Dreyfuss has enough of a career, and I'm not saying these guys didn't, but here's the thing. Robert Shaw died shortly after Jaws, so there was nothing for him to do. He did movies after the fact, but none of them lived up to the height of Jaws. Not that anything that Richard Dreyfuss did lived up to the height of Jaws, but what I'm saying is he never had really anything else to be like, oh, and Robert Shaw, but remember he also went on to do this. That's incredible. Where Richard Dreyfuss, he did other things, like Close Encounters, like Mr. Holland's Opus. Wait, there's other things. There's definitely other things that he. Let's go back. I'm going to go into the 90s. Has you ever heard of a movie called Krippendorf's Tribe? No, but honestly, What About Bob is like a classic. I think he's great in that. Yes, the Stakeout movies I really liked the first one. Postcards from the Edge, Tin Man, Stand By Me, Down and Out in Beverly Hills. He did a ton of movies that weren't Jaws. Wasn't he nominated for The Goodbye Girl? And of course, Close Encounters is probably one of my favorites. Even before that, he was in American Graffiti. He was in 2 episodes of The Mod Squad, playing 2 different characters. Okay, I'm just going up and down IMDb now. Now, in recent years, Richard Dreyfuss seems to be like he kind of might be a big giant douchebag, but I'm not focusing on him. I want to talk about his career and the stuff that I've seen him in and the stuff that I loved. And that's it. Now let's focus on the man that we're really here to see. And it's not Richard Dreyfuss. It's the character he's playing, young Matt Hooper, who you love in this movie pretty much the entire way through. You're kind of on his side. He's the expert. Yes, he yells at Martin once, and it's a little harsh, but that is real dangerous equipment they're working with, really sensitive equipment. And but for the most part, you're with him. Not that you're not with the other guys, but you're with this guy the entire way. But if you read the book, Hooper's kind of a dick, right? Isn't he? Doesn't he? Now, was it Chris who mentioned like he keeps wanting to open the beaches at some point. He's like agreeing with the mayor. He's banging Brody's wife. You know, I mean, just a little while ago, she wanted to get drunk and fool around with Brody. But that's her husband, and they're in a committed relationship. That's the Ellen Brody that I love, not the one in the book who is like upset with Brody, and it's been a long time. But I mean, I don't know if she shows Hooper her pooper, but I apologize. Sometimes words and rhymes come into your head and you can't help it. But in the book, they definitely, you know, the boat is a rockin', okay? And that's unfair. I don't like that. It makes Hooper less likable. If they did that in the movie, it would have just been, you know, awful. And in the book, he dies. And you don't really care about that because he's kind of a dick who's, you know, sleeping with another man's wife. So, yeah, he gets eaten. Or I honestly don't remember how he dies. And even though I read the book twice, I'm going to say he gets eaten. In the movie, he hides away. And thankfully, there is no version in the movie where he dies in a version where he lives. There's no Mario Van Peebles scenario. I'm not going to talk about the sequels. I said I want to talk about the sequels. I mention that every time, and yet here it comes again. But I remember, okay, I'm going to talk about the sequel. I remember seeing Jaws: The Revenge in the theater. Yes, I was one of the few people. I think it was 1987, so I'm like 10 or 11 years old. And Mario Van Peebles gets eaten. And I remember as a kid thinking that effect of him being dragged underwater was pretty good. And I think they keep that in. And then at the end, he's like, hey, man, I'm alive. I've been alive the whole time, man. And it was like, what the frig? Okay, that's enough. Let's put that away. And let's focus on the fact that Hooper in the book, we don't care about the book. Sorry, Peter Benchley. We're here talking about the movie and who is the man who shows up. Now, it doesn't start with that right away. It starts with Hendricks and Brody. You know, they just walked by that wonderful harbor master, Frank Silva, talking about they were talking about the 2 dudes with the holiday roast. I was going to say rum ham, but the holiday roast. And then Hendricks is like, it looks like Mrs. Kintner put the ad in Field and Stream, you know, meaning so that's how so many fishermen have showed up. And Brody's like, more like National Enquirer. Now, that line, I wouldn't say joke, but that like, you know, sarcastic comment held a lot of weight in 1975 and in 1985 and probably in 1995 and maybe in 2005. But in 2025, if someone is watching this for the first time, I'm going to go out on a limb and say they don't know what the hell the National Enquirer is. I feel like it was the closest thing to like a TMZ in weekly tabloid newspaper. And again, tabloid, tabloid, all that means is you read it like a book, left to right, right? Isn't like the Boston Herald or the New York Post, aren't those considered tabloid magazines because of the actual formatting? And yet the term tabloid became to mean these salacious, celebrity-filled gossip papers. And you'd get them at the counter at your grocery store. And the National Enquirer was the king of them all. And it looks like they still have a website. And I guess they still have a paper. But I just feel like it was much more in the world of pop culture. In the Weekly World News, that was one that was like a black and white paper. That's the one I loved. My mother would get that for me. I go, can I get that Weekly World News? I mean, it was a crazy paper. We're talking about bat boys and werewolves and all kinds of aliens and stuff. That was my favorite because it was bonkers. But National Enquirer, I just feel like if you probably walk right by it. I walk right by it. I don't even think about it. I used to pick these things up and be like, what's going on in the world of Burt Reynolds? But now I'm like, I don't even think that I don't even notice them. And I think they're still there. But I wonder if, anybody under the age of 40 even pays attention or remembers or knows what it is. At least under the age of 30, I would say almost nobody. I'm just going to guess. So while the last episode, the 4 minutes didn't have a lot of dialogue, this 4 minutes has quite a few memorable quotes and moments for Jaws fans. Things that are definitely quotable, things that I use. I've used multiple times. In fact, one of those is coming up because right after Hendricks and Brody have that little comment about, the National Enquirer, they walk up to a couple locals who are arguing with each other. And these guys are definitely not actors. They're just two fishermen having an argument. So they're, Hendricks and Brody start talking to them, trying to clear that up. While that's happening, you see another guy showing up on a boat, and he gets off of this boat being helped by another local who greets him.
Hello. Hello back, young feller. How are you? Say, I hope you're not going out with those nuts, are you?
I'm not sure it's ever fully established that this is Ben Gardner greeting Matt Hooper as he gets off his little boat. But you see this guy in this full camouflage jacket that looks like a jacket that my father-in-law definitely owned at one point in his life. He's got this nice red, plaid hat, and he helps Hooper get off the boat. Hooper is fully denim, like head to toe. Well, not head. He's got his little cap on, which I love that hat. He's got a dungaree jacket. I love saying dungaree over jeans. And he's wearing, of course, his pants are jeans, dungarees, denims, and he's got these cool shoes on. Now, these shoes, I have to admit, I would wear these shoes today. They look stylish today. They almost give the look of like skateboarding type shoes, like Airwalks or Vans or something. The jeans still would work today. The jacket, you know what? I could see people dressing like Hooper right now today, maybe not fully in the jeans. And I feel like Hooper's wearing the jeans because they're almost like they're functional. They're protecting him as he's out on the boat. That's just my guess. That's the kind of guy I think he is. But I definitely would wear those shoes 1,000%. And the line that I've used multiple times, a lot with my brother, is like, "Hello back, young feller." And I think I screw it up. Sometimes I'll say, "Hello there, young feller," but it's all in honor of this man right here, the great Ben Gardner, who, again, I don't know why we know that's Ben Gardner. It's never said that's Ben Gardner. Now, we see Ben Gardner's boat later, and we do see Ben Gardner's face later, his head later, and I guess we're supposed to make the connection that that's this guy right here. I don't think early on for a good long time. I don't think I did make that connection, but we do see him later. Now, I don't know why. I'm looking at the Jaws wiki and it says Benjamin Gardner. I don't like that they say cause of death, killed by Bruce. I don't like that the Jaws wiki refers to the shark as the nickname that the production team referred to him as, because I feel like Bruce is the name of the mechanical shark, not the name of the actual shark that we're seeing in Jaws, where I'm saying this is, I'm looking at it in the through the lens of the movie. We're seeing a real shark kill people, not a shark named Bruce. That's just me. That's just me being nitpicky. So this guy, we see him in at least one more scene. He's got one more memorable line that we'll get to, but I'm looking at Benjamin Ben Gardner was a local fisherman on Amity Island and became a well-known figure following the infamous Amity incident. Again, I don't know what the Amity, I'm going on the Jaws wiki and they're calling it, I feel like they're giving it the name, the Amity incident. So that's what they're calling it on the wiki. So let's not worry about that. What I am going to tell you about is the man who played Ben Gardner, Mr. Craig Crinsbury. You don't think of him as a Craig, you think of him as a Ben. Craig Crinsbury was born in 1912 in New Jersey, and he passed away in 2002 in Oak Bluffs, Massachusetts. I'm going to look him up on IMDb. He actually has multiple listings. 1 film and 3 selfs. Can you guess what the film is? Yes, it's one and only Jaws. He was also in the 2002 True Hollywood Story playing himself, talking about Jaws, I'm assuming. Imagine if it was something else completely. He was there talking about the OJ trial. And then he was in the Jaws 25th anniversary documentary in 2015, but of course he had already passed by then. But I did find a Jaws 25th anniversary interview of Craig Crinsbury, and this is from Time Access Media. It says, our third and final day of shooting started out with Craig Crinsbury, who played the infamous and unfortunate fisherman Ben Gardner. This was filmed in either 1999 or 2000 for the silver anniversary. They traveled to Martha's Vineyard and interviewed him in his backyard. And I like that he talked about, how actually this movie has helped him with some money over the years.
How did you come to be involved in the movie Jaws?
Well, they were trying out and go for an interview, and then you'd have some part of it, and it would really pay like you never heard of before. And you've seen my part in Jaws. That was all, but that put about $1,200 in my pocket. And every time the movie's been showed, I get a little bit out of it. So in the aggregate, Lord knows how much I've had over the years. But I tell you, I don't care who the devil the guy is. A few bucks helps out a lot, especially when you don't have to bust your butt to earn it. It comes through the mail.
That's what other actors told us. Every time they show it on TV, they send you a little check.
Yeah.
So that's not bad.
No. They say a lot of times it's helped me out just when I might was broke or something like that, or needed a few bucks to buy something with. And no, I'd say we gotten possibly 10 to 15,000 on mine, through the years.
I'm going to put a link up to that full video. It's funny because it looks like they have more like a professional camera, but I feel like this is almost behind the scenes of the interviews shot on a camcorder, I think, just because the sound isn't all that great. Like you can hear the noise in the background. It's funny, he either lives on a farm or has roosters. If you watch the full interview, you'll hear a rooster cock-a-doodle-doing at least a couple times, and they just power right through the interview. He mentions how Spielberg would let the camera roll on him and just he would improvise things, and they would use a lot of that for Quint. He talks a little bit about getting the cast of his head done for the infamous scene in his boat later on. So it's a really cool. It's a 15-minute clip. And I think it's all him, so I think you should, you can check that out. I will put a link to that in today's show notes. So he helps Hooper out of the boat, and Hooper says hello to him. Hello back, young feller. And then Hooper just completely ignores him as he's like, say, I hope you're not going to go out with those nuts now, are you? And the guy like turns away like, I read my line, now I move over here and start doing something else, as Hooper notices that the chief of police is having an issue with two people arguing with each other on their boats, and Hooper just comes right in, gives a little common sense, and he allows these people to get on their way as he is desperately trying to get the chief of police's attention, but Brody is too busy yelling at these guys on this boat that's putting too many people on the boat. And then he sees another guy who looks like he's bringing dynamite or M80s onto his boat. He's like, no, you can't do that. Brody is clearly overwhelmed, and he just turns to this guy. He has no idea who this guy is, and he's like, can you deal with them? He's asked Hooper to just deal with these guys who are on this boat, all these locals, and this guy who none of them know who he is. Hooper shows up and just tries to reason with them.
Please, help me get those guys out of the boat, will you please? Come with me.
Gentlemen, the officer asked me to tell you that you're overloading that boat.
You ain't going, man. What do you care? Hold on.
Well, then, can you tell me if there's a good restaurant or hotel on the island?
You walk straight ahead.
They're all gonna die.
At that moment, you kind of right away see Hooper as he's trying to be helpful. He's knowledgeable, and yet he's also can be a sarcastic wise ass. And it makes him instantly endearing. I think that's the right word. And there's two great lines there. It's like, gentlemen, he yells at them and they yell back. And then he goes, can you ask me for, recommendations? And that the guy says, you walk straight ahead, like right off the dock into the water. I think that is hilarious. That's a great line. And then he turns and just says, they're all going to die. Just classic moments. This 4 minutes is chock full of some classic little audio clips. We jump over to Brody in, I don't know, some police shack on the harbor. And he's called Paulie to try to get the road closed signs. He then, I love everything about this scene. He sees Hendrix outside and he throws some rocks at a window to get his attention, and Hendrix just looks at him and starts waving. He's like, get in here. He's like, listen, you got to help me out here. These are your people. And that's when you realize, no, he's like, these aren't my people. They're from all over the place. Connecticut, maybe Vermont, he said. I don't know. They're from all over the place, he said. He goes, what happened to the extra help we're supposed to be getting? That's not coming until the 4th of July. Until then, it's you and me. So that does clear up the fact that Amity Island has 2 police officers, which again goes to show that they are not equipped for this amount of activity. Never mind the fact of the tragic deaths and the fact of a shark showing up to eat people. They're just not equipped for this giant amount of people, and the fact that they get this many people on the 4th of July, and generally it's still the 2 of them. That seems a little like the mayor, again, maybe he's not putting funding where it should properly be. Do they get extra help every year on the 4th of July, or just this year because of the shark issue? I'm going to guess they get extra help every year. And they're like, okay, we have the extra summer deputies coming. And that's like a regular thing. It has to be. Because the amount of people who come off that boat later, there is no way 2 police officers could deal with that. Impossible. So the door opens up and Hooper comes in and he starts talking to Brody about how those people on the boat, none of them are going to get out of the harbor alive. And he's smiling. And I love, it's just, the acting is so good in this scene, and it's Brody. His frustration, he's like, come on, Hendrix, you know these people, you know their first names, go talk to them. And then the door closes, and he's like, Polly, I got to call you back. And then we officially get the meeting of Hooper and Brody.
Listen, could you tell me how I could find Chief Brody?
Who are you?
Matt Hooper. I'm from the Oceanographic Institute.
Oh, for Christ's sakes, you're the guy we called. I'm Brody.
Oh, I'm very glad to meet you.
Yeah, I'm glad to meet you, too.
Listen, I know you got a lot on your hands right now, but...
What can we do for you?
Well, I think the best thing for me to do is to see the remains of the first victim, the girl on the beach.
Okay, fine. Just bear with me, will you?
Sure.
Thanks.
I will never not love the genuine joy that Brody has on his face when he realizes that Hooper. He's like, I'm Brody. And this smile, like, I wish to each and every one of you that somebody smiles at you once in your life the way that Brody is smiling at Hooper in this scene. So he's like, what do you need? What do you need? He goes, I'd like to see the remains of the first victim. And he's like, great, that's wonderful. Bear with me. And he heads out to go deal with some stuff. And the next time we see them, they're in the medical examiner's office looking at the remains. Or I should say that Hooper's about to see the remains that, is currently officially listed as a boating accident. But before we get there, we get one more great scene of these local fishermen, one more great scene, one more great audio clip of the wonderful Craig Kingsbury as Benjamin Gardner.
When we get them silly bastards down in that rock pile, there'll be some fun. They'll wish their fathers had never met their mothers when they start taking their bottoms out and slamming into them rocks, boy. Get away from there, you goddamn fool, you! What's the matter with you? Want to swap us, you crazy son of a bitch?
Now, let's go over what he just said. I always thought he said, wait till we get them silly bastards. Now, the quotes I'm seeing online says when we get, and that could be correct too. It's just, he says it in such a wonderful, colorful way. When we get them silly bastards down in that rock pile, it'll be some fun. They'll wish their fathers had never met their mothers when they start taking their bottoms out and slamming into them rocks, boy. Then he says, get away from here, you goddamn fool, you. What's the matter with you? You want to swamp us, you crazy son of a bitch? I mean, my goodness gracious. I feel like they just said, all right, Craig, just what would you say about these guys, these guys that are fishing that you don't trust, these idiots out here. All these boats are going, all trying to get this $3,000. They're all arguing with each other. They're crowding the waterway. And you could see he's a local who really does not like these silly bastards. And there's some sort of rock pile, some sort of probably a shallow water or by the rocks. And he knows how to maneuver around here. But he thinks those silly bastards, those crazy sons of bitches, those goddamn fools do not know how to do that. And that, again, is a wonderful moment that is very little to do with plot driven. It just shows the fishermen out there, but it's just this guy adding to the fact of, it's adding to the realism. Honestly, that's what it feels like to me. It's adding to the realism because there's a local guy talking how a local guy would, and just kind of rambling about how he does not like these out-of-towners. But he says it in a much, much better way. So we see these other fishermen. One guy has no idea what's going on. There's someone chumming, cutting up bloody guts in the water. And again, that's a nice little foreshadowing to what we see later. There are two dogs on this boat. There's a dog, standing in the back, and there's a dog lying on the front of the boat, like the front of the boat where he could slide off and be in the ocean. And to me, these are 1,000,000% locals, and this dog has done this most of his life, and he seems kind of okay with, he doesn't seem that nervous about it. I feel like there's no way that would fly in, future movies or PETA or anything like that. There's no way that they would bring a dog, quote unquote, performing dog, an acting dog, you know what I mean? A dog that's made from, that has been in movies, a trained dog. These are just local dogs with local guys. Hey, can we bring my dog to the boat, we'll just do it. Let's guys bring your boats down and we're gonna film you. And they have their dogs with them. That's just my guess, because the fact that the dog is on the edge of this boat like this is crazy and awesome all at once. And there's this one dude with a wonderful, like, I don't know what you kind of call it, hat. He's like, what are they doing? And the other guys, they're chumming the water. They're trying to, attract the shark. He's talking through his incredible mustache and cigarette. You see another guy who did bring M80s or cherry bombs, or I don't know what no, that's an M80, I think. Throwing in the water, lighting off explosions. And you see boats almost hitting, people arguing. It is anarchy out there. But they do definitely attract a shark. But we're not there yet. We then go to the medical examiner's office where Hooper gets to see the remains of Chrissy Watkins for the first time. And you realize he's ready to see, like, okay, are they going to open a slab and pull out a body? And then literally the medical examiner opens what looks like a tiny refrigerator and pulls out a bucket for like a plastic tub with a sheet over it. And Hooper looks at that and looks at Brody like, are you kidding me? This is it? And the remainder pretty much of this 4 minutes is the clip I play at the beginning of him. They bring him in. He looks at this, says, "This is no boat accident." One of the most famous lines. And he's like, "Did you call the Coast Guard? Did you notify the Coast Guard?" And Brody's like, "No, it's just local jurisdiction." But besides hearing it, the visual of the medical examiner. So the medical examiner pulls out the body, doesn't say a line, doesn't say a thing. He just stands there like a schmuck. The only thing he does is assist Hooper. Hooper asks for a glass of water, a little cup of water. And when he says, "This was no boat accident," he doesn't say it to Brody. He looks right at the medical examiner and he's like, "This was no boat accident." And the medical examiner, like, he looks down. He can't even make eye contact with Hooper. Like, I know, but the mayor, he promised me 10% off of my rent this week or some shit like that. Like, it's just like Hooper's there to, like, nobody's smiling, I should say. Hooper's there to lay the law down. The medical examiner completely looks embarrassed. He turns to Brody, and Brody just has this look like, no, we didn't do anything with the Coast Guard. And then Hooper starts explaining more about his findings as the clip comes to an end. A raucous, full 4 minutes of dialogue and characters and quotable lines from Hooper to Ben Gardner, and then some memorable funny things with Hendricks and Brody, and then that no lines and no respect for the Amity medical examiner. And that's it. We did it. It is now 8:07 a.m. as I finish this recording and finish this day of Golden JAWGUST and finish day 8 of JAWGUST. So, my friends, I hope you have a wonderful Friday and a wonderful weekend. I will be back tomorrow. And here's the cool thing. Next week, I have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off. We do have plans for most of the day on Wednesday. We're going to be going up to like the Laconia area of New Hampshire. It's where my mother-in-law used to live before she moved down here. And we like to go up because there's like some areas, some shops, some locations, some restaurants we used to frequent. That used to be our summer go-to, would be go up and spend time at the in-laws because, it was free. That was always the best part. It was free. So we're still going to go up there and have a nice day. I think we're going to do that Wednesday. So I expect Wednesday's JAWGUST to be late. Thursday, my wife might have plans without me. So maybe Thursday will be an earlier day. Who knows? All I know is I'll be back each and every day of JAWGUST to talk more Jaws with you. 4 minutes at a time, including tomorrow. But until then, you can follow me on all the social medias you want at Geek Mentality, except TikTok. Over there, it's Geek Mentality Mike. On Facebook, it's Fans Not Experts. On YouTube, it's Fans Not Experts. And you know why? That's because the website is fansnotexperts.com. I'm done. I will see you tomorrow. The beaches are closed. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. And here is my theme song. This is my podcast. I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe, 'cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode.
Fans Not Experts.